Hello and welcome to the 10 frequently asked questions when it comes to counting macros video. I know when starting something new, you can have so many questions and that's totally normal. If one of your questions was not answered in this video, be sure to check out our FAQ page or ask in the private community group. We are here for you and we want to get your question answered. So don't be shy. We would love to shed some light on a question that you might have if it's not answered in these next 10 questions. Okay, so the first question that we get asked a lot is, what do I need to start counting macros today? So you're gonna need a couple things. The first thing is going to be your custom macro calculation. If you have not registered and gained access to the Leadbetter Pocket Trainer inside the Leadbetter app, be sure to follow those steps in the previous email so that you can register for the app and we can grant you access to the Pocket Trainer, because inside there, you'll be able to see step-by-step how to get your custom macro calculation. The second thing that you'll need is a digital food scale. This can be a super cheap digital food scale. It just needs to be able to measure ounces and grams. You can get it at Walmart, any local grocery store, Amazon, and we also have some suggestions inside the toolbox, inside the Pocket Trainer, if you are looking for some suggestions on a food scale. The third thing is your macro tracking app. This is totally preference, but we do recommend that you use a macro tracking app because it can be super easy for you to track your meals on a daily basis, which I will go more into detail for the next couple questions. But those are the three things that you'll need to start counting your macros today. The second question that we get asked a lot is, how do I determine my phase? Like I said, if you have not already gotten access to the Pocket Trainer, you need to do so first, because inside there we have a whole question list for you to determine your phase, whether you should start with body fat loss or reverse dieting. It's a super simple process. You'll be able to check out the list of things. If you fall into this category, start with body fat loss. If you fall into this category, start with reverse diet. So be sure that you actually have registered and you have gotten access to the Pocket Trainer, because inside there it will answer all your questions about how to determine your phase starting out. The third question is, what macro tracking app should I use? So inside the Pocket Trainer, we actually have two of the most frequently used macro tracking apps, MyFitnessPal and MyMacros+, and I did a tutorial on both of those. So it's totally up to you, whichever one you feel most comfortable using. There's also some other ones on the market. Those are just the two most popular ones. So also, we have teammates who might not want to use a macro tracking app. They like pen and paper or an Excel spreadsheet. It's totally up to you. We just do recommend the app because it's convenient and you can store your food data in there, so that way every day you're not having to recalculate. You can just pick the food and go. So either MyFitnessPal or MyMacros+ are the two that we recommend, just based on preference, but there are some others out there. The fourth question is, should I count my calories too? So if you count your macros, your calories will add up. So 1 gram of protein and carb is 4 calories and 1 gram of fat is 9 calories. So if you are counting your macros, your calories will add up. So there's no need to count your calories. The fifth question is a big one, and that is, how do I reach my macro goals? People get really frustrated if they're not reaching within 5 to 10 to 20 grams of each macro, and I want you to remember that this is a new lifestyle. So like anything new in life, there's gonna be a learning curve. So give yourself some grace, give yourself some time, because I promise the more that you do it and the more that you commit to practicing meal prepping, meal planning effectively, you are going to be able to reach your macro goals within 5 to 10 grams on a consistent basis. Typically, we see teammates starting to be able to do that within 21 to 28 days. So give yourself some grace. Don't adjust your macros until you start reaching your macros within 5 to 10 grams. So that way you're giving yourself some time into this journey, and you're also giving your body time to adjust to your macros. But remember, it's a new lifestyle, and give yourself some grace. The sixth question is, how do I meal prep and plan effectively? Lucky for you, inside the Pocket Trainer, we actually have a whole section on this. So be sure to watch those videos. Also make sure that you use those hack sheets, because those are made for you and those actually work. We also have the 135 macro-friendly food list that you got as a bonus, and we have the recipe portal section. So check out all of those. And also, if you are still looking for more recipes, Pinterest is a great option. We also have tons of recipes that are shared in the private community group every day. So if you search in that group, you'll be able to just search recipes and you'll be able to find some recipes that people have shared in the past. Most likely, they'll also have the macros on them as well. So tons of different options. Remember that it will take time, but you'll get there, and we're here to help and support you. The seventh frequently asked question is, what do I do if I'm over or under on a specific macro? So we do recommend that you try your hardest to get close to your allotments of protein, carbs, and fats, but we understand that that's not always going to be realistic. So in that case, if you are over or under on carbs and fats, you can interchange them just like you would alcohol. And what you would do is just take what you're over or under and convert it into calories, and then break it into the carbs or fats that you are going to allot for that. So for 1 gram of carb is 4 calories and 1 gram of fat is 9 calories. For protein though, we do recommend that you always try your hardest to get closest to your protein goal as possible, as protein cannot be interchanged with carbs and fats. The 8th question is, what should I do with rest days? So it depends on where you're at in your journey. If you just started counting macros, I recommend that you hold off on implementing rest days if you're in a body fat loss until at least 21 to 28 days. I want to make sure that you get comfortable tracking macros and you're not getting overwhelmed with having to change your macro tracking app between regular days and rest days. If you are in a reverse diet though, there's no need to take rest day macros. The goal of a reverse diet is to try to get your metabolism operating optimally on the highest number of calories possible. So because of that, there's no need for rest days. So as you'll see, if you're in a reverse diet phase on the macro calculator, there's no customized rest days for you, rest day macros for you. However, if you are in a body fat loss, you'll see on the macro calculator that there is rest day macros for you. But if you just started, I would recommend you wait at least 21 to 28 days before you start to implement your rest day macros. The 9th frequently asked question is fiber. So with fiber, it's super simple. All you need to do is just look at the nutritional facts and take the grams of fiber in the serving size and track that. We recommend that you do not subtract the grams of fiber from carbs. Oftentimes, people can get really tricky on the nutritional value and they'll subtract and they'll say net carbs. You need to count the full amount of carbs and then count the fiber in grams that's stated on the nutritional value on the food. The 10th frequently asked question is, when should I check in inside the macro calculator in the Pocket Trainer? The answer to you is, if you are just starting out, I would recommend that you wait at least 21 to 28 days before you check in, because I want to make sure that you are hitting your macros on a consistent basis every day within 5 to 10 grams before you check in to see if your macros should get adjusted or not. So if you are just starting out, wait 21 to 28 days before you check in. If you are continuing on this journey, I would recommend that you check in every other week. We want to let your body time to adjust. So every 14 or so days, you can use the check-in feature on the macro calculator inside the Pocket Trainer. But when first starting out, 21 to 28 days before you do your first check-in inside the macro calculator.